YouTube vinyl community, Vince Guaraldi fans, Peanuts fans, random people on the internet, my name is Giggens. We're here today for a review of the brand new Be My Valentine, Charlie Brown. The wonderful people at the Lee Mendelsohn Film Production Company have done it again. You can look at the other albums they've put out in the last couple of years. You're Not Elected, Charlie Brown, Short Summer, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. Before that was the Halloween one, Great Pumpkin. And for those of you who don't know what these are, they're releasing the music from these television specials for the first time, complete as an album. A lot of the songs on these records have never been before released, and if they have, maybe it's been bits and pieces on different compilations over the years, but as a complete thought, all the cues from these shorts have never been released in any format before. They're extremely well done, well taken care of, well looked after, transferred from the original tapes. Everything about this is high quality. The sound of these records is unparalleled. You can put them on and just enjoy them as a jazz record on its own. You don't necessarily need the context of the Peanuts special to know that this is jazz, and you're just going to enjoy the experience for what it is. Adding on the fact that it is from a Peanuts special, harkens to the nostalgia that you had growing up and watching these movies. But like, the combination of the two is a wonderful pairing. You get this amazing artwork, these cool obies, and they're all printed on recycled vinyl, which is wonderful. It's for recycled vinyl these days. It sounds absolutely killer. The bass is rich, the top end is clear and dynamic and sharp. The mid-range is punchy and lifelike and in the room with you. I've been picking up these records as they've been putting them out, which has been pretty frequently over the last few years. And this one was a total surprise. I got this one in the mail the other day, and so Sean and Jason Mendelsohn, thank you so much for sending this over. Highly, highly treasured, and a treasured addition to my Peanuts collection here. The group on this collection is Vince Guaraldi, of course, on the piano, the Moog, the ARP string synthesizer, which was a pretty new tool at the time. Vince Latiano on drums, Sewer McCain on bass, and John Scott Trotter was the music supervisor on these sessions that happened over the course of a few days at the end of December 1974. Not only does this mark the 50th anniversary of this special, which is mind-blowing, this also marks the 75th year of Peanuts as an entity. So it's really exciting to have this record, not only for the nostalgia of it, but just the curation. Just to have these in the collection and know you can appreciate them just as jazz on its own is wonderful. And this album in particular finds them in a whole different bag, if you will. If you're a fan of the Peanuts cartoons and the music, you know that the songs are usually upbeat and cheery, sometimes a little melancholic, but always have a happy ending, a happy resolve. The songs on this one are so subtly lovelorn and heartbreakingly sad, and they have little glimmers of hope here and there. It's probably the most heartfelt recordings Vince ever did for the Peanuts project, as he worked with the guys, and it makes for a fascinating listen because there's nothing else like this in the canon. Having a new tool at his disposal, the ARP synth, this thing was a game changer. Now you can have shimmering synth sounds coming out of a keyboard, and being the musician that he was, he can play this thing and look for those sonic textures and the warm characteristics of the emotion of the characters in the show to convey their emotions. It's a fantastic device to really nail in on that human condition about love from the point of view of kids. Not only do you get every single cue recorded for the show, you have many bonus tracks on here, about 7 bonus tracks, alternate takes. You'll get the show version of Freddie's Mood, which has like the added on record players scratching and scuffly sounds. But overall, it's a record I really enjoy because it is so different. And I feel like a lot of this stuff, you almost wouldn't be able to tell that it was a Vince Guaraldi, or a Peanuts special, I should say. You wouldn't know that it was a Snoopy Peanuts cartoon special if someone didn't tell you. For instance, the opening track, Heartburn Waltz, is the theme of the album, if you will. It comes up many, many times with reprises or reprises, however you want to say that word. Sparkling ARP synth on this thing, just shimmering and glowing all over this track. Snappy brushwork on the drums, which I think is really great. The Moog riff fest that's happening all over this thing, and the grounding bass to keep it all together. It's a very lush, dreamlike, atmospheric, and sometimes optimistic melancholia. And I like that the song is broken up into different sections and repeated throughout the special because it really is the idea, the central theme of this special. It's like everyone in this special is getting their heart broken, but they're still optimistic and they still want the best. And that's exactly what this song is, you know, Heartburn Waltz. What a great name. Linus and Lucy is fascinating on this one. This is the first time that I can think of where Linus and Lucy sounds nothing like Linus and Lucy. And that's because he takes the bridge section that's kind of, you know, energetic and a little manic on the original recording before it jumps back into the chorus at the end. He takes that riff and creates a little motif out of that, which is brilliant. So again, if you play this for somebody and said, name that song, they'd have no idea what that was. It was funny because I knew that the song was on here in a different version. And even hearing it myself again several times, I was like, what is he doing with that song? I had to like pick it apart and be like, oh my God, that's the bridge section where it comes out. Like, crazy. The genius of Vince Guaraldi. You do get several tracks on here inspired by Bach, Chopin, Beethoven, where at times it could be Vince by himself, and at other times it could be the full band doing like a funky, jazzy 70s version of these tracks. And I really think that's cool because not only do you get to get introduced to some of these classic composers, but you hear them in a very modern way that if you hadn't been told, hey, this is Chopin, you know, you would have never known. Oh, Vince wrote that, you know. It's very much in the Peanuts style, but it's also like super old music. Again, the genius of Vince. Paw Pet Overture. This is probably the most upbeat track on the entire record, and it's got a slight bossa nova shuffle to it, which is really cool, but some really wonderful cymbal work, cheerful piano noodling throughout this thing as well, and a song that would have fit really well on the earlier LPs. Never Again follows that dreamy feel from other tracks on this album. It's really brief, but again, it finds the happy, or it looks for the happy, and it's a pretty comfortable landing. Woodstock's Mambo is one that really stands out because not only is it synthy and funky and kind of spacey, but the ARP on this thing makes this song sound very un-Peanuts, but also very Peanuts at the same time. It's got all the elements that you would hope to hear from like an atmospheric, like a Herbie Hancock kind of jazz record, but combined with the quirky touches that Vince would give something, it becomes a Peanuts song, but it's so un-Peanuts that it is Peanuts. Jenny L is a wonderful song, a very endearing, somber track that glows and shimmers throughout, and it feels more like a, you know, a love lost kind of track where, you know, maybe you're pining for someone and they just don't care back, but you have those really deep, warm, true, honest feelings that you just can't express. You don't really know how to say them, but that's what music is there for. Music can express those things that we can't find the words for. There's Been a Change ends side 1, and another sad, slow song, but really interesting guitar work on this one. There's some really dramatic slide effects that give such a quirky characteristic to the record because it stands out like the happiest sore thumb. You know, this is a song I feel that can go on for much longer. You can just jam this one for a while. Like on the You're Not Elected, Charlie Brown, some of those songs went on for much longer. This is one of those tracks that I can see going on for like 6 or 7 minutes. Side 2, you got Woodstock's Revenge, which is dreamy but charged up. It's got a focus to it. It's not just atmospheric for the sense of floating around. There's a purpose and a function for this. Charlie Brown's Wake Up, oh man, this one's sad. This just feels like heartbreak. You can feel the heartache in Charlie Brown on this one. It's reflective, it's sad, it's longing, and it just knows it's not gonna be happy. Like, that hurts. Side B ends with the original album with the show version of Freddie's Mood, which again has like the record crackling, like an old school vinyl LP crackling, and the 8th version of the Heartburn Waltz, a track that was definitely used well to convey that theme of looking for love and hoping it comes back to you. The bonus tracks are equally as interesting and exciting, hearing the process that these guys were doing to figure out how these songs should go and landing on the eventual final track. I'm a sucker for that stuff. So hearing these guys figure it out, you got to remember too, they did this over the course of a few days, which they had always done for these records, but it's just the amount of talent and skill to create something so heartwarming and something that you can really feel inside. And knowing that these guys were so talented, they knocked it out in a few days, like the skill that it takes to create endearing music that people will enjoy 50 years later. And like knowing they just had this in them, that skill, that talent in them already, to just nail it. It's truly something special. So my biggest takeaway with this record is that it's a Peanuts album like you've never heard before. It's heartbreaking, it's gentle, it's sweet, and melancholic would be the best word I could use to describe this record. It takes its time. It's a very patient album. There are moments where the record is like optimistic and cheerful and upbeat, but they're brief, they're so fleeting. I feel like most of the record really is about heartbreak. And it's not something you normally hear in a Peanuts special. But then again, you never heard jazz in a kid's record before until the Charlie Brown Christmas album came out. So they really were ahead of the curve. They were doing things that hadn't been done before and creating something that really sticks with you. And that's what this record is. I highly recommend picking this one up or giving it a spin on Spotify. It's an album that you're going to play and come back to often because it's so unlike anything else you've heard in the Vince Guaraldi Peanuts world. And I think that's what makes it so special. It's heartbreaking, it's sad, but it's also hopeful. You know, there are some moments I feel like there is no hope, but at the end of the day, when the record's over, it feels like there's a chance. You know, like Charlie Brown might make it. You know, maybe he will be someone's Valentine. You know, it's that kind of feeling. You hope for the best. And I think I'm gonna leave it there. So, Be My Valentine, Charlie Brown, original soundtrack recording by Vince Guaraldi. Easily an 8 out of 10 for me. It's different, which is why I like it. So pick it up, give it a spin. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Happy to chat about it. And again, Jason and Sean Mendelson, thank you so much for sending over this copy. You didn't have to do that. It's incredibly sweet, and it's got a really good home here in the collection. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and happy Valentine's Day if you're celebrating. And if you are celebrating, maybe pick up this copy and give it to someone you care about. So that's it. My name is Giggens. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.